Welcome back, my friends. Welcome back once more to Education Care. So today, as you can see, I'm going to discuss the poem The Patriot by Robert Browning. And before starting the poem, you should have an idea that Robert Browning is regarded as one of the best dramatic monologue writers. And if you have read the poem of his, My Lust Duchess, which is also quite an example of his famous dramatic monologue. So we have such poet who has penned down the Patriot for us. Now we will begin to read the stanza and analyze each and every stanzas completely. So let's give a reading of the first stanza and concentrate on the lines. It was roses, roses all the way, with matile mixed in my path like mad. The house roofs seemed to heave and sway, the church spires flamed such flags they had, a year ago on this very day. So in the beginning of The Patriot by Robert Browning, we see that a leader, a hero, a patriot is entering his native land, and his paths are filled with roses, with matile. Matile is a kind of sweet-smelling flower. It was scattered, flowers were scattered here and there like madly with a lot of enthusiasm. And the house roofs, they seemed to be filled up with the people, with the spectators who were welcoming him. And the church spires, the topmost portion of the church building has some kind of flags which were displayed on his behalf. It was a kind of welcome given to him, and it was on this very day a year ago. Here the suspense grows, my students, my friends. Then what happened a year afterward? Had anything changed? Had he changed from patriot to a traitor? This is the question that we are going to get in this poem. Now let us have a look at the second para of the poem. The air broke into a mist with bales. The old walls rocked with crowd and cries. Had I said, good folk, mere noise repels, but give me your sun from yonder skies, they had answered. And afterward, what else? Hear, my students, carefully. Even the air that was blowing during that time when the patriot had entered his native land, the air even blew the church bells as if it were welcoming him. There was such a cheering and crowd of the people that even the old walls seemed to tremble. As nowadays, if a DJ box is being played beside your house, and if you have glass windows, they almost seem to tremble. So the shout of the people were so loud and high that even the old rocks were trembling. And the poet had said that if he would have said to the people, in spite of your cheering, what can you give me? Can you bring down the sun from that sky? And they would say, yes, that had been executed. And what else? And see the lines, my students. And afterward, what else? Means the people were so much in love with the patriot that they could even bring down the sun for him. Now let us look at the third para of the poem, what he says and what he highlights over here. Alack, it was I who leapt at the sun, to give it my loving friends to keep. Not a man could do have I left undone, and you see my harvest, what I reap. This very day now a year is run. The patriot is dejected. He feels depressed. He's saying that even he had leapt at the sun, even he had jumped at the sun for his loving friends, and he had not left anything undone that he could have done for his fellow people. And what result, what harvest he is getting this very day. A year is run. Just a year ago on this very day, he was welcomed immensely, as you had seen, my students. And today, what dramatic change had occurred over there? Let's move on to the fourth stanza of the poem and see what happened. There's nobody on the housetops now, just a palsied few at the windows set. For the best of the sight is all allow. At the shambles, or better yet, by the very scaffold's foot I trow. So, what does this para mean? Let's have a look at this. There's nobody on the housetops now means the people who had welcomed him once with a lot of enthusiastic way had scattered down. And they were just a palsied, a diseased few people by their window sets, because they could, for the best of sight is all allow, they were even allowed to watch the Patriot at the shambles gate. What does a shamble gate mean, my friend? We have to concentrate on these very lines. At the shambles gate, in fact. So it means shambles is a place where, or in fact, you may call it a slaughterhouse, and the Patriot was going to be taken to the scaffold, a place where one is hanged or executed for betrayal, for treachery against his country. And let us have a look at the fifth stanza of the poem. What does the fifth stanza of the poem say? I go in the rain and more than needs, a rope cuts both my wrists behind, and I think by the feel my forehead bleeds, for the fling whoever has a mind, stones at me for at my years misdeeds. Thus I entered and thus I go, in trumps people have dropped down dead, paid by the world. What dost thou owe me? God might question now instead. 'Tis God shall repay, I am safer so. So let's have a look at the fifth and sixth stanza. What does the poet try to tell here? He is being brought in the rain, and both his hands are tied by the wrists behind his back by a rope. And he thinks that his forehead bleeds, as some of the people, the spectators, had thrown stones on him. And what is all this for? They are regarding him as a traitor, and he is being brought to the slaughterhouse to be executed, to be hanged, to be put to death. And people have dropped down dead. What has the world paid to him for his bravery, for his patriotism? Death. But in the end, he is optimistic. He says that he is safer so, means he is safe in the hands of the gods. He is safe in the hand of the Almighty, who is going to reward him immensely in heaven. So my friends and students, we have seen the explanation of this poem, The Patriot, which is by Robert Browning. And do remember that it is an example of dramatic monologue. And you also need to understand that dramatic monologue is nothing, but here the audience is silent. The narrator says it in such a way as if a listener is present, but he stays in a silent mode. So this is all about the poem. Hope I have explained quite clearly. And in my next video, I will be covering the rest of the poems of the ICSE syllabus. So please keep on subscribing and watch it and share it as much as possible. Till then, all of you, stay safe and have a nice time. And do keep on watching the Education Care. Thanks.